Hello, I'm Naomi. I'm a singer who sews, and today we're going to look at what I did in 2021 and what I'd like to work on in 2022. 2021 was a whirlwind. So much happened in my personal life and my professional life, and most importantly to you, my creative life. I didn't start my YouTube channel until late March, but I spent most of the first couple of months of the year prepping for my video on the Langberg bra. In total, I released 9 videos over 7 projects. I only completed a few projects outside of YouTube for a total of around 10 projects last year. On YouTube, I passed the 700 subscriber mark right at the beginning of January, and I'm almost at 1,000 watch hours, so thank you so much for being here. The first video I put out this year was my Langberg bra video. It seems like this must have filled some unfilled niche because it's been one of my highest performing videos to date. This project taught me that I am capable. I can edit a video, I can put it on YouTube, I can make something that people want to watch. The fact that it did so well right out of the gate was such a surprise. So unexpected, but I'm so grateful. It made me really feel confident for the rest of the year. As far as I know, there weren't that many new sewing skills that I worked on with this project, but I did hand stitch the whole thing, which is pretty out of character for me up until this point. Due to that, it took me a few weeks when I was expecting it to take a few days, but I'm so satisfied with the product, and I wear it almost every day and it's holding up really well. The next piece I released was this lovely mask. I love this thing. This was my first time embroidering a patch, and I used stitching techniques common to the Opus Anglicanum style of medieval embroidery. The only thing I would change about this mask is that I would use a stiffer lining to kind of help the mask stand away from the face a little bit more, because it tends to like bunch up right in my mouth, which is not super fun. The video itself is one of my lesser watched releases, and I think it's because of the format, because it wasn't very well researched. It was just kind of me rambling about mask safety and whatnot in the background. I just needed y'all to know I'm pro-healthcare and pro-science. These pockets are one of my favorite makes of the year. I had decided to make them pretty spur of the moment for Pride Month. These really reflect the self-examination and discovery I did this year. I realized that I'm agender. My pronouns are she, they, y'all. Anywho, this was another project I did a lot of hand stitching on, although I did stitch the patchwork by machine. However small, it was an early attempt at 18th century sewing, which is something that I would like to explore more in the future. Maybe not this year, but in the future. The video was my only entry into a collaboration this year for the Pride Month collab that Opus Ellen and I put on, but I just might make another Pride project next year because there are a lot more facets of my identity that I'm discovering and want to normalize in this crazy world of ours. I released this video in July. This has been one of my more successful videos on YouTube, and I am really proud of the script and the formatting I used for the tutorial, or lack thereof. However, I wish I had made different choices with this project. It is such a good idea, but it isn't something I end up wearing a lot because of several different things, mainly having to do with the zipper. I thought it would be easier, but I am too curvy to have a straight center front seam. And the side zip that I jerry-rigged in there is not easy to fasten. And it ends up poking me like in the underarm. It's a real shame because otherwise it fits super nice and it feels like a really nice supportive hug, which is something that I really like in my underwear. So maybe I'll add that to the mending list and put some side lacing in or something. But my mending list is like, it's not that long, but you know how you don't want to do a mending project and then it never gets done? Okay. This was my favorite video to make this year. It isn't my best performing video. It's somewhere like roughly in the middle of the pack, but it does show the skills that I am passionate about. And this music project is the reason I wanted to make a YouTube channel. I absolutely loved preparing and recording the music. As far as the actual video though, I think I could have made a different choice for the reveal. I'm still working out the kinks in my formatting of these videos, but I do have more Vox Vestitus videos planned for the near future, and I really hope that they'll find their footing in a way that this one hasn't. The hose themselves are fantastic, and even though I accidentally felted them a tiny bit in my machine because I washed them in the washing machine like a dummy, they're still a really valuable addition to my medieval wardrobe, and I love wearing them. I do want to dye them darker yellow though. I don't know when I'll get to that. So the yellow History Bound in Kirtle is one of my most worn makes this year. I feel so confident in this dress and so in love with how my body looks. I seriously need one in every color. Although I am worried that I might never want to try a different cut of dress ever again because I like it so much. But I mean, I guess that's not a problem. One thing I did learn from making this dress is that I should use different techniques for different styles of sewing. The inside of this dress is far less than beautiful. There are a lot of raw edges that didn't quite make it into the felled seams. So if I'm trying to sew something for speed using a machine, I'll probably either use overlocked edges or French felled seams in the future so that I don't have to worry about folding things underneath to create a finished edge on the inside. Watching this video back makes me realize that I would really benefit from having a better camera and also from more practice improvising my explanations, because like I remember editing this video and being like, why did I say the same thing 4 times in the row in 4 slightly different ways? I cut out a lot. I do really like the way the reveal section turned out though. Now the final project I posted to YouTube is the best thing I have ever created, and I love it so much. I learned that I can take a sketch and make it real in a very satisfactory manner. I am obnoxiously proud of these houppelans. They look exactly like I hoped they would. This is the type of project I want to make more of. The type of project I didn't get to as much as I wanted to last year. The first video with the making of the robes is easily the video that performed the best on the day of release out of all my videos. And it also has a pretty decent retention rate for people watching through the whole video. However, I'm not really sure that I enjoy editing in that style of video. It took me way too long to edit this video. It was like 2.5 or 3 weeks late from when I originally said it would be posted, and it was just me procrastinating on the editing because I dreaded it so much. It feels very frustrating because I feel like if I had like forced myself to work on it, it could have been done like a week or 2 sooner, but I don't know if I want to force myself to work like that. So that probably means I need to find a different way of editing so it doesn't feel like such a monumental task every month. Now that I've gone through all the videos that I released, I'd like to talk about the takeaways I have from last year. When I looked back on the quantity and quality of the projects I worked on in 2021, I realized that I was choosing my projects really reactively and like last minute based on how much time I felt like I had to sew a thing and edit a video for YouTube. In 2020, I made like 20 projects, and last year I only made 10. I'd really like to at least make 12. One for each month. Honestly though, like it would be fine only making 10 projects if I had made more things that I actually like have fabric in my stash for, because like I hardly made any garments and that's really what I want to do. I want more clothes that are functional for my everyday life and more costumes to wear to fun events and stuff rather than just accessories. Like accessories are necessary, don't get me wrong, for making a really effective costume, but they're not all I want to make. I don't want to feel so crunched for time. My New Year's resolution for last year was to sew from my stash and only buy materials for garments or projects I already had most of the materials for, which I was pretty good at sticking to. Like, I'm very good at telling myself not to buy things for whatever reason. However, even though I didn't buy new fabric, I really didn't sew the yardage I had. Aside from the Christmas costumes and my yellow kirtle, all of the projects I made were made with like scraps from previous projects, which is fine. But like, I have all this beautiful stuff that I want to actually use and not just stare at all the time. Like, I was sewing all these last minute accessories just to get a video out instead of making the garments that I've had like in my imagination for years. So I'm pretty frustrated by that. The last thing I learned is that I have a lot of trouble making myself edit videos. I usually enjoy the final product, and I feel that I've learned a lot about what makes a video good, but it takes me forever to get one done. Based on this, I don't think that with my personality and time needs, I'll ever be releasing more than 1 video a month, and I honestly might relax my release schedule even more than that, and just release things when they're ready. But I do think that I need to at least allot myself a week to edit a video, more if I have other events in my life planned. And I also think that I can be more proactive in dividing my work into smaller chunks, so it doesn't feel like one long task that I have to do like all at one time. So with those 3 things I learned in 2021, here's how I'm planning to change things in 2022. First of all, I want to make more garments and actually sew the fabric I have in my stash rather than just crapping out small accessories from scraps. Right now I'm most interested in history bounding and fantasy bounding clothes for my everyday life, and I have quite a few projects on my list that will match up with that criteria quite well. I also really want to finish my Vox Vestitus 14-15 series. I have several more garments and accessories to make, and a few more topics I'd really like to explore. I also want to plan my videos out further in advance, so I have something that I'm working toward, rather than like coming up with projects last minute for this month's video. And then finally, I want to practice time management and overlapping sewing and filming and editing a little bit more, just so that I don't feel as crunched for time. I think I'll start by rethinking how I edit. Here's some ideas I have. I could go back to taking more notes during the making of the project so that I have a general idea of the script that I'm gonna have before I start editing. I could actually write the script from that and record voiceover before starting to cut my video together, and then structure the rough cut based on my voiceover instead of on the footage I have. The other thing I can do is break my videos into more manageable chunks and edit them separately so that it feels like a smaller task in the moment. And then if I'm feeling particularly overwhelmed after trying all of those things, the last thing I could try is scrapping the process video aspect of it and instead doing like an overview of the finished product with a reveal, because I really enjoy editing reveals. And the very last thing is I want to practice making more interesting and cinematic reveal footage, a la Oralyn or Shannon Makes. 2 creators you should definitely check out, by the way. I do want to let you know that in my personal life, this is going to be a big year for me, because my big goal for myself and my personal and professional life is to apply to doctorate programs in early music performance. So I'm going to be needing to prepare auditions for that. So if I feel like I'm a little bit overwhelmed from work, I will probably be stretching out the space between my videos and not really keeping to a schedule as much. Because, like, YouTube should be fun, I'm told. I should enjoy myself, and, like, largely I do, but I need to only take the parts of it that I really enjoy and leave the rest at the wayside. And that'll take care of itself, and if people really enjoy what I'm doing, they'll stick around, right? Yeah. Alright. So now that I've gotten all of that out of the way, I'm going to list some things that I have for 2022 on my sewing list. So I've got the next few videos planned out. Let me go get some stuff to show you because I have fabric. Okay, I'm back. So here's what's on the way. The very next thing that I'm planning to make is a dress from this awesome border print duvet that I got at a thrift store for like $2. It's cotton, it's beautiful, and it's going to become a 16th century kirtle like my Hobbit dress, which is not on YouTube but is on Instagram. And then in March I want to make at least one shirt from this, which is also incidentally from a duvet cover that I got for free from my friend who was getting rid of it. I was like, this is cotton and linen, and I can't let you throw that in the trash. So I'm going to make a shirt inspired by Geralt from The Witcher, because I've been obsessed with that asymmetrical placket ever since the first time I saw it. So that's coming in March. And if I have enough time, energy, and fabric, I also want to make Egwene's shirt from the Wheel of Time TV show, because it looks freaking awesome and I want to wear it every day. I might not have the time to do that Egwene shirt though, because for April I would really like to finish the gown for my Vox Vestitu series. I have black wool blend fabric, which will have a band of white fur at the hem and then white fur tippets. And it probably will be way too hot to wear to fair for my birthday, but I'm probably gonna do it anyway because it's pretty. I would like to wear that for my birthday, so that needs to be finished by the end of March, which at the rate that things are going right now may or may not happen. After that, I'm not quite sure like when I want to release these videos or if I want to intersperse them with other things, but I have a couple of other things for Vox Vestitus that I want to get done, including an escoffion, which is that awesome friggin' padded roll hat on beautiful lady here. And then I also want to make an open hood like a peasant would wear, and I'd also like to make a trapezoid little purse. I'd like to embroider a patch for that has this beautiful image of the Allegory of Music by Robinette Testard. Side note, I'm obsessed with that outfit, and that's on my sewing list for some nebulous time in the future as well. Why did we ever stop wearing fitted kirtles? I don't know. Speaking of fitting kirtles, one video I'm desperate to make this year is how to drape a 14th century, 15th century fitted kirtle. And I'll be using the draping tutorial from La Cotte Simple, which I always talk about in all of my videos about kirtles, but some of you are still like, I would like to have a video about that, and certainly I would like to give you one. So anyone in the Austin, San Antonio area wants to be in a video of mine, DM me on Instagram, because I already have a pattern for myself, and I can't drape on myself anyway, so I need to drape on someone else for that video. Another thing I'd like to make this year is a history bounding dress from one of the Herr Jolfness patterns from, what is that book called? It's right here. Medieval Garments Reconstructed. I have green cotton flannel that will go lovely with my yellow kirtle, and I want to make like a short sleeved swing dress thing from that pattern. Okay, Halloween. I want to make a costume for Halloween. I want October to be not clothes. Or not everyday clothes, you know? I don't know what I want to be for Halloween yet, but I have a few ideas. I think the lowest maintenance one is probably the Lady of the Green Kirtle from Narnia in the silver chair. I mean, that sounds like fun, like being an evil snake lady. And then the other idea I have is I would really like to make Egwene's costume from the Wheel of Time series, but in Nynaeve's colors, so with a green shirt and a yellow skirt, because, yeah, I really like Egwene's clothes, but in my heart of hearts, I identify more with Nynaeve. We'll see which one I have time for and feel up to doing this October. At some point, probably in the fall, I'd really like to make a dress from this amazing quilting cotton. This was my only fabric purchase last year. I'm obsessed. I'd like to make a dress from this and maybe like a linen pinafore to go with it, but I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel about that feminine of a silhouette because I've been having a lot of body dysmorphia lately, which sucks. The very last thing that's on my list for 2022 is to start my 1916 ensemble finally. I've had fabric for that forever, and I've had the images in my head for years now, and it's time. So I'll start with the chemise for that. I'll probably make an envelope chemise and maybe a second chemise, maybe a petticoat. Probably won't get to my corset this year. I have the mock-up for it, but I haven't touched that in over a year at this point. I'm just rambling at this point, so I think I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. If any of this content interests you, or if you like my other videos, please subscribe and click the notification bell. If you are feeling generous, please donate to my Ko-Fi, my coffee. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful 2022. May it be so much better than the last 2 years have been for me. See you next time!